r/ask Reddit. What new obnoxious traits are you noticing in society? GoFundMe for people with money. Any GoFundMe for stuff that people want versus need is immediately obnoxious. Save up like the rest of us for that wedding, vacation, new furniture, etc. One of my Facebook friends was asking for $350 so she could get a haircut. Duck off out of here with that bullshit. When you're trying to look up a recipe and have to read through this person's entire life story just to figure out what temp you preheat the oven to, I've gotten to the point where I simply page down until it won't go any further. That's typically where the written recipe is. That, or I hit the print recipe button, cuts out all the bullshit and shows just the recipe. But my great grandmother taught me this over an afternoon of cross stitching, and then I made IT for all of my roommates in college when we didn't have any money but we had money for a special kind of import mushroom you have to go to a specialty grocer to get. People in restaurants or somewhere public with their phone or tablet's volume set way too high. Generally I see it with parents giving their toddlers a tablet with the sound cranked. Too many times I can hear it from a few tables down. Either turn the volume to a low level, or give them some damn headphones. Bluetooth speaker at the gym. Are you ducking kidding me? I don't know how people even do that. I'm too self-conscious about my music taste to blast it around strangers like that. As we enter an age of immense information, the most annoying but true thing, for me, as well, is that people feel confident in the information they find and take it as truth if it reinforces their own ideals. It's basically just accelerated justification bias. But it happens to us all, sometimes subconsciously. Because most people want affirmation, not information. Yep, and approval for everything they do, after they've done it. People playing games, watching videos, etc. with the sound on in public spaces. Worst is when parents are just sitting there letting their kids play games and watch kids stuff on YouTube with the volume really loud, as it's easier than actually interacting with them and teaching them spatial awareness. Seems to be oddly accepted now. I get embarrassed if I click on something in a public place and it plays a sound for even a few seconds before I can shut it off. This is why I've adjusted the way I hold my phone such that my thumb is always over the speaker, just in case. People sometimes give attitude if you don't promptly respond to their texts. They wonder if you're ignoring them when, in fact, you're simply not able to reply at the moment. Hence the purpose of texts and calls. Texts equals reach me back when you can, while calls equals we need to talk now. I don't think people see those purposes as the same anymore. I can't remember the last time I actually spoke with someone on the phone outside of work besides my parents. People expecting you to contact them, and then seeing a poor me nobody ever calls texts invites me social media update when they never contact you. My mom used to do this and she really didn't like when I pointed out that the phones work both ways. I used to feel almost overwhelming guilt after my parents got divorced and I went almost a year without talking to my dad's family. Every time I saw my dad he would tell me how sad his mom was that I never called her, but then I would get extreme anxiety every time I picked up the phone to call her. So it was this vicious cycle of guilt anxiety. One day my mom found me crying next to the phone and she pointed out that if my paternal grandmother wanted to talk to me so badly, she could pick up the damn phone herself, and it helped a lot with a huge amount of my social anxiety. Choosing shitty sources of information when all the world's knowledge is at our fingertips. Propaganda and misinformation has always been a tool of the powerful to keep themselves in power. But the internet democratized information, and now that we have access to more information than we could ever consume, a lot of people seem content to not put any effort into figuring out what's true and what isn't. This, my ex used, still does, regurgitate anything her friends told her without any fact checking. A commercial came on for the HPV vax, and she scoffed and said, yeah, but it kills more people than it saves. I then quickly googled, about 60 seconds, and found the exact article she was talking about being debunked and shown as false information. She got mad at me because I looked it up to prove her wrong. Not trying to prove you wrong. Trying to not spread dangerous misinformation. Fact check your shit, people. Seriously. One of my co-workers used to send around those email forwards like tampons are made with asbestos to make you bleed more, and I always used to respond with the Snopes article. He got mad at me for ruining things and stopped forwarding to me, but not to others. So, a partial win, I guess. Watched a mom let her kid walk into traffic because she was too busy looking at her phone. I guess you would call that a lack of awareness. That's not obnoxious. That's extremely dangerous and stupid. Flaky non-committal people everywhere these days. I'll ask my friend what he's up to tonight. He says he'll let me know, and then nothing. It's gotten to the point where if I don't get a straight answer about plans from any of my friends, I assume it's a no and move on with my day. We live in a society where ghosting is becoming normal, and not committing to something until the very last minute, just in case something better pops up, is the standard. I had a party last year and the amount of RSVPs that came back that said something along the lines of, "If I'm not doing anything I'll come," or "If I'm not doing anything better that night I'll come," made me realize who the flakes were in my life, and I dropped them as friends. That type of character trait is toxic. I'm in the process of planning a wedding and the big day is less than 60 days away. My fiancé and I have started calling those that haven't RSVP'd yet, and the amount of people that told us they're waiting to see what else they have planned for that night is disgusting. Safe to say I'll be eliminating both friends and family members from my life after the wedding. Parents are afraid to tell their kids no. I work in a college setting and I hate when a parent calls and starts the phone call with "My son daughter is in grad school and needs," like duck off. How are they in graduate school but can't request this themselves? I seriously hate my job because I will tell a parent the student needs to request a sensitive document and they flip shit on me. My boss takes online classes for her daughter, fills out her daughter FAFSA forms, registers her for class and uses her school account to communicate with the professors while pretending to be her daughter. It's so beyond ridiculous and she acts like it's totally normal. This actually angers me. Traffic is nothing new, but I feel like the stop and go traffic has gotten significantly worse since the rise of smartphones. If you're at a standstill, you check your phone for a little bit without realizing traffic started moving again, delaying the folks behind you, and it just causes a frustrating chain reaction. The worst of this is at red lights. It's unbelievable how someone who is first in line at a red light could sit there ducking with their phone knowing damn well that there are people behind them, and then flip you off in the mirror after you've counted to 10 before honking. Having to stop an event or moment to take a picture, take it before or after. Just went to a wedding and noticed that damn near the entire audience was watching the wedding through their phones filming it. If all of my friend family are there, then likely these are your friend family as well. Why the duck do we all need a copy of the wedding in a likely wobbly, noisy, it was windy and an outdoor wedding, poorly lit video format? Who the hell is actually going to go back and watch it? Is it all just to post it on social media to say you're out doing shit? My wife and I are legally married already but never had a traditional wedding ceremony, so we are doing it next year. We decided from that wedding we attended that we're going to request and be adamant about no cell phone use during the ceremony. We have a photographer taking better photos than anything you'll get from your smartphone, and we'd rather people actually be in the moment during the ceremony and so focused on their phone. That's not going to go over well with the 8 children I plan to bring. People getting rude because they had to wait longer than they wanted to for a service. Example, Target line was long and a woman was stating her complaints, purposely louder than necessary, so everyone could hear her. She then beached at the poor cashier. Have some patience, people. Oh, I had one of these recently, at my office building. The parking lot elevators are very slow and always breaking. On this lovely day, 2/3 were out of service, and it was around 5:10, so prime time for people leaving. I was waiting by the elevator when this guy walks up and I could just tell he was impatient. Apparently not impatient enough to spend 30s walking down the stairs to his parking level, mind you. So the elevator is naturally taking a while as it stops on 5 different floors before getting to us. He rushes in when it opens. But of course the group of 10 other people waiting also slowly squeeze in. An old lady starts making her way in, slowly, because she was very old, and he starts saying come on we gotta go, come on to the ducking old lady. The whole time a vein looks like it's gonna pop on his head. Finally the doors close and we go down. Stopping at the first lower level, where old lady starts getting off. Naturally, angry man starts rushing her again and begins quick tapping the closed doors button as soon as she's most of the way out. The doors close and EHS like sorry we just gotta go, and everyone kinda gave each other that what a douche look. He finally gets to his floor and practically leaps out of the elevator, and everyone sighs with relief because another couple floors would have been even worse. It was just hilarious seeing him try to spin it like everyone was in a rush to justify being a dong. I know it exists, but it is just ridiculous to see adults share their emotions or problems in Facebook. I mean, it is entirely possible to talk about it privately to someone, but broadcasting your hate towards a person really damages the credibility of adults. Anytime I see I'm so over fake people post, my friends list gets shorter and higher in quality. I guess you're over fake people. People with no spatial awareness. Edit. Spelling. This was more or less what I wanted to post. Anytime I do something like grocery shopping, I have to struggle to get past people who have managed to stop so there's just not quite enough space to get by, or who are browsing one area of the shelves in a way that blocks off an entirely different area. Half the time they just don't realize, and the other half of the time you have to point out how what they are doing makes it impossible for you to do what you're trying to. It's weird. I like to pretend I have the same amount of spatial awareness as them and crash my cart into theirs. Oh, sorry, I didn't expect your cart to be in the middle of the aisle. Stopping in the middle of the sidewalk without realizing that there are people walking behind them. Most of this is tied to phones, but I live in a large city and it's the easiest way to spot a tourist. Especially when it's a group of people in front walking side by side taking up the whole sidewalk. If you have to make a sudden stop, move to the side. HR departments run companies. The last round of middle management promotions at my workplace was beyond laughable. Work performance and competency have been replaced by those who show and smile while failing. It pains me to see people who actually work hard and do a good job get passed by regularly. I call it the rubber floor effect. Dumbasses fall on their faces but somehow bounce back higher than before. The mob response to everything and the overreactions to evade it. Store wouldn't do X, angry mob and death threats. Worker does Y, fired for following rules to avoid the angry mob. It's terrifying. Who will the angry mob choose next? Maybe me, maybe you. It's like that Black Mirror episode about the artificial bees. That and the one where everyone is constantly rating each other. Best Black Mirror episodes. My 4-year-old just looked at me and said no, he ducking didn't. My 4-year just looked at me and said that I don't have any children and this is all a figment of my imagination. A 24-year-old just told me that sneakers are dad shoes. Well, duck me if I want comfortable footwear, I guess. I see a lot of older men wearing bulky 90s style white sneakers, so I guess I would maybe call those dad shoes. But there is no way sneakers as a whole are dad shoes. All these rappers designing $500 garish sneakers that look like components from a sci-fi spaceship aren't trying to hook the suburban dads. Generally New Balance, I'd bet. They're big, bulky, good arch support, good cushion, and readily available in wide sizes for old people's expanding feet. Plus they don't change a whole lot over time and old people love that. Say Despacito again, mother ducker. Despacito. This is how we do it down in Puerto Rico. People spending absurd amounts of money on stupid things to flex on Instagram like a Supreme brick or Gucci white t-shirt. Edit. For those asking, this is a Supreme brick edit too. A lot of you seem to still be confused about the brick. It was an item that the popular clothing brand Supreme decided to sell on their website for $30. It sold out fast and then people started reselling the item on eBay for around $150. Don't talk shit about my Supreme brick. But seriously, you're right. The other day I had someone come up to me and he asked to borrow money while he was wearing Gucci flip-flops and a Gucci belt. You can guess what I said. Edit. This guy frequently flaunts his wealth around my town and his clothes are not fake. This is not the first time he has tried to scam someone in my community. Gucci gang. 300 times in quick succession? People using their phones during a movie or performance. Stop that shit. If you can't stay off your phone for a couple hours, maybe you should go outside or not go to the show at all. Fubbing. For those of you who don't know what it is, fubbing, snubbing someone in favor of your mobile phone. We've all done it. When a conversation gets boring, the urge to check out an interesting person's Twitter/Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest, whatever feed can be overwhelming. I had to look it up. I just hope the person who was talking to me didn't mind. Edit. I didn't write the definition. I just linked to it and pasted it in case someone didn't want to click on the link. Fubbing ain't so bad in a general situation where you may not have planned to be together. But when you make a plan to socialize with someone and then they are fubbing 80% of the time, it is beyond frustrating. Nowadays everyone expects you will check your phone every once in a while. But when the phone time gets over about 20%, that is when I walk out. I will say this about fubbers. Most of them are boring twits who can't actually hold a conversation because it is easier to consume someone else's product than generate your own. Playing music out loud on terrible sounding Bluetooth speakers while in public. How and why is this coming back? And why are they all listening to mumble rap? Or worse, playing the same thing full blast on their phone speaker. In increasing obsession with policing each other's diets' bodies, duck off and mind your own business. Instead of getting up in other people's stuff, might want to take a good, long look at why you feel the need to do it. Also incels. WTF. Back in the day, if you couldn't get laid, you just presumed you were an ugly shit with a bad personality and lowered your aim. For the incels thing, there's a story in the Jewish Torah about a man who was basically a proto-incels. He was so in love he would die if he couldn't have the girl. Several times over the rabbi said let him die. The only proper attitude to incels. Let him die, the only proper attitude to incels. Careful. They're going to report you for violence against them. The whole kids dying of preventable diseases is better than having autism thing. Why get vaccines when essential oils will work just fine? The liberal use of the term hacked. Lose in a video game? Hacked. Find a cool trick to doing something mundane? Life hack. Know how to delete undesirable programs files? Hacker. That is bad. I also hate the use of porn like subreddits do. I want to show someone a cool picture. Here, let me go to r/earth porn real quick. I really dislike how black and white everything is nowadays. If there's an issue in society, you are either on the right side or you're ducking Nazi libtard etc. People believing the court of public opinion before they have all the facts on anything. Don't think this is new. I see a lot of people inventing their own reality and then they insulate themselves with equally horrible people. Morality is relative. Truth is subjective, and if we can just fool enough people into buying our bullshit, well, that is great success. People don't express their honest opinion, subject themselves to criticism and try to learn from it. Often what they say and what they do are completely divorced because words are just a tool they use to manipulate people, and the only thing you can trust them to do is be selfish. I can't remember the last time I heard someone say, you know, I was wrong, or I don't know. No one can ever admit fault or apologize. Very few people are sincere. People intentionally using smartphones and tablets to keep their kids occupied at social outings. The technology itself isn't new, but I've only started noticing people doing this very recently. It's weird seeing a family eating at a restaurant, and their toddler is just sitting there with giant headphones on and watching Paw Patrol or something, completely oblivious to the world around him. We have the internet now, and on the internet ignorance is a choice, but people are still choosing ignorance by looking at garbage and not bothering to learn about things. Being offended on behalf of others. Apparently glorifying being overweight. All of my local cinemas stopped showing those turn off your phone ads before movies, and everyone uses their dang phone in the cinema, with the backlight on full. I even saw some kids taking pictures of the movie screen with flash. Rude students. September will be my 5th year working at a college, and we even had a meeting last year about how the feeder schools have told us that last year's awful students weren't a one-off. The upcoming teenagers are generally ruder and lazier than the ones who were there when I started. Obviously it doesn't apply to all of the thousands of students we get each year, but the problem is becoming so bad we now have security and college had to rewrite their policies because drinking and drugs aren't the biggest problem anymore. It's just teenagers being awful people. Fake news. Echo chambers. Whoa. You made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.